Hi, how's everybody doing today? This is Rich from Rich TV Live, and we're here with a very special guest. It's Greg Safrensky, and we are talking about international Montoro resources. How you doing today, Greg?
Quite fine, thanks. Nice day out there.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Vancouver. The weather's been quite nice, and I know you have some big news for international Montoro resources, so let's get right into it.
Okay, yes, we put a news release out today. We've received our preliminary 3D magnetic inversion report from Wicheeda North, BC, Canada. That's a rare earth property. And we've also, in this news release, not only received the 3D, and this is both a magnetic and a conductivity 3D model. I'll show you that in a minute. But we've also increased our claim group there by 28%. So, and then in the news, rare earth has been quite prominent in the news cycle here the last week, with China threatening to turn off the exports of rare earth to the United States, tit for tat over the, is it Weiwa or Hawa? How do you call that company? They
Uh,
make the telephones.
um,
I saw an ad last night. Still can't pronounce it. Hawaii, Waiwa. Doesn't really matter.
yeah, why we or something? I'm not.
Yeah, Waiwa could be one of all. And yeah, no, this is a very important thing because the last time we had a resurgence with the rare earth, it was as a result of some delayed shipping for rare earths going into the states, and that led into a tit for tat with Japan, where Japan got cut off of Chinese rare earth over, I believe they were called the Sudoku Islands. Anyways, this is 1,000 times more intense with this because the rare earths are like salt and pepper. They're endemic, and so they're everywhere, ubiquitous in society. We're looking through screens that can only work without the magic of rare earth. Um, Key items on that too uh, is its use for both military and industrial uses. Like rare earth, there's 1,000 pounds of rare earth in an F-35 fighter. There's 800 pounds in a wind turbine, 600 pounds in an MRI scanning machine, on top of which they inject you with a rare earth before they turn the MRI on to get better visuals. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a matter of, it's really a case of wag the dog. The tail is wagging the dog here. You don't need a lot of these things, but they're in everything, almost everything we use day to day. I can't remember the number, but the Tesla Model 3 long range uses a rare earth motor now. And all the new models coming out of Tesla will have these rare earth fixed magnet motors in them. So they're more effective and give you better mileage. So like the new Tesla truck, I forget where we're at, the Y, whatever the Y, the new Roadster, these will all be powered by a rare earth motor. So let's go to the news release. I think I can bring it up here. I'll walk you through it. And how do I do that? And there you go.
Before you get into the news release, how does Tesla's been coming down a lot? How does that affect the industry? Do you think that has any effect on the industry? Do you think that that's just a dip, and Tesla will come right back up? I mean, they are up 4% today, but they've been taking it, on the chin pretty heavily recently. You think that has an effect at all on the metals?
Mm, not necessarily. I'll cover this in a bit when we get to that portion because I have a recent signals from the Chinese government official. I forget what his term was, vice chairman or something, commerce. Yeah, no, look, it's the Chinese, as this is as of the second, so like Sunday night, which would have been like Monday morning in China. Uh, they came out and also threatened to restrict the flow of lithium. So this is a huge event in this Chinese-U.S. trade war. And they we'll go into it, but let's just cover the news release quickly.
Yes, please.
And go into that. So here's our news release on our website. You can please, if you will, you can see off to the side here, you can sign up for our news release.
Why don't you share the website? What's the website address?
The website address is www, of course, Montoro, Montoro, resources.com. Again, Montoro, Montoro, resources, all one word, .com. And so here we got today's news release. In the news release, you'll find the link to the report. So Campbell and Walker Associates and our geologist Kit Campbell has delivered their summary PowerPoint presentation on the Wicheeda North project. During the course of, so we'll go over to that and bounce around, but here we go. This is the report, the Wicheeda North EM and magnetics. Again, from your previous viewers, this was a helicopter survey. It was sensing for both magnetic as well as conductive anomalies on the Wicheeda North property. A little bit, it's called the AeroTEM, TEM, time domain, EM magnetics. We ran this survey in 2010 and got, and now we've taken that data and we put it into a 3D voxel model, which I'll be showing you later. So this is showing the spacings. Now this, you see here, this is our property previous to today, and now all this encompasses our property as well. I don't have an updated picture. We'll be putting it up on the website shortly. Again, different interpretations, residual magnetics. This one, I believe, is gravity. I can make it bigger, I guess that's better. Further on, keep going through here.
Hey, Greg, we have a question from the community.
Yes, sir.
What is your title with International Montoro Resources? What are your
I'm a consultant
roles?
with the company.
Okay.
I'm consultant for the company through 360 Aviation Services, Inc.
Great.
I've been the IR consultant on behalf of Montoro for quite some time.
Fantastic.
And so this is a lot of complicated stuff, lots of interesting pictures, a lot of ways of looking at it. It wasn't until literally in the last week that, and I'd asked the geophysicists and geologists when they came in to give us the report, and we just recently realized it should have already figured it out, but it's not common knowledge because rare earth it's a niche market and a lot of people don't know about it. But here's the surprise: all the 17 rare earths are magnetic. So previously the standard was iron, copper, cobalt, gadolinium, and now you've added 17 of these rare earths, which makes perfect sense considering that the major use for rare earth is neodymium, used to make the fixed rare earth magnets. It's about a $31 billion industry as of last year, just that one rare earth element alone, and the production of the magnets from. So here we're going, we're slicing down, we're looking at different positions. This is interesting. Now, we're in the report, we're trying to isolate, and in the news release, we discuss that we identified two specific areas that our geologist is up in a place called Horsefly Lake. It's north of Prince George, and it's past 100 Mile House. He's there now, and I believe Sometimes this week he'll be moving on to the property, spend about a week there doing surface sampling and identifying drill targets for our project going forward.
Fantastic. It seems as though you
So,
guys keep, every time we talk, you guys keep having more news and more news. The stock is up 10% in Canada today on this news, so that's a good sign.
I'm flashing back to 2010. The rare earth thing when the delay of shipments for rare earths going to the United States and then the follow-up Japanese debacle. There's not a lot of companies, maybe 30 companies involved in this sector. Many of their stocks, like Ucore, Medallion, Avalon, they've gone up 2 or 3 times. They have more advanced projects. We are adjacent. This project is adjacent to Defense Minerals. And Defense Minerals holds the ground. We got borders with them we share an eastern border and a northern border with them. Defense Minerals, we await, there's quite a few catalysts. A stock, you want to buy a stock, you want to know there's going to be some catalysts coming. Well, if the Chinese pull the pin on shipping rare earth to the United States, that's a significant catalyst. Previous to this, the Americans saw it coming. The president in 2017, December thereof, initiated an executive order, the Critical Minerals Act, a presidential executive order. And that triggered Congress and Senate and all the departments, Interior, Defense, etc., to field reports to the president. And then they had about 2 years of hearings, and now an act is a bipartisan act. The America Minerals Securities Act is going through Congress and the Senate right now. And then of course this comes about. They've known for some times that they've been too eager to acquire all these magic minerals. The Japanese refer to rare earth as the vitamins of industry. An example is the F-35 fighter again. 1,000 pounds of rare earth, mostly for the jet engines.
Wow.
And so going back to it, so the catalysts again, Defense Minerals, they've shipped a significant tonnage to SGS in Ontario. SGS is doing the extraction numbers on it to see but the idea again, previously we discussed it, that the rock that they have there is about $400 a pound, but if you can concentrate it to 50%, you got $5,000 a ton rock. And then of course, the only processor right now, you'd be thinking about shipping that to China for final processing, and which are quite a few companies. As for example, the only producing mine in North America at this stage is the Mountain Pass mine, and up until let's say 10 days ago, the Mountain Pass mine was in the business of extracting and concentrating their rare earth for shipment to China for final processing. Well, that may very well be not going on right now, because the first thing the Chinese did in this trade war was slap a 25% tariff on that material going out, which I'm pretty sure would take a lot, would make that plan of make it uneconomical to do that. So we know from the past, from 10 years ago, 9 years ago, that if you can take our material and through one flotation circuit, which is really very little work, you could concentrate the material to 50%. So, we wait for Defense Minerals to make the announcement about their results, although we do have previous knowledge about the material from our properties from back in 2010. So you got the 3 catalysts. You got, of course, Defense Minerals is going to enter into a 51-hole drill program. Another key item about Defense Minerals and us is that they pulled their material pretty well from all across our border. So we know from the past that we could have as much as 2/3 of the deposit that they have on their ground on our ground. And the drilling will verify that. And so, right, again, we've got the 3D, we've identified the targets, 2 targets, and our geologists will be mustering to the site here within days and taking surface samples and reconnoitering a situation whereby we could possibly be able to pull a drill in there and identify resources. So again, we're going to go into the trade war. I mean, the scale of news, it went across Reuters, CNBC, CNN, you name it. And the whole thing is, it started off with the president of China, Xi. He went to, and I want to say Guangdong town, the city of Guangdong. It was his first state visit of 2019, and so he goes there, and he goes there, and this is historically where when General Chiang Kai-shek and Mao Zedong were having their little beef over control of China, the Mao's forces were pushed back to this town. And it's from this town that the term Long March comes into play, where from this town they got pushed back to this place. And then from the city, they went out and conquered China and chased Chiang Kai-shek over into Taiwan. So now you got she's there, and he goes to a rare earth magnet facility and tours it with, guess who, but the top negotiator for the U.S.-China trade mission. And then he goes and says and then he gives a speech, and in the speech he basically comes out and says, we're going to prepare, telling the Chinese people to prepare for a long, protracted trade war with the Americans, and uses the Long March metaphor. So this is the new Long March, and he's standing in the rare earth magnet factory, and this is what kicked things off. He says, okay, what's going on? He's basically giving a veiled threat at that point that he's gonna use after the Weiwa or Wawa Hawa
whatever it is. Hawaii.
Hawaii. I'm trying to pronounce it right. I want one now. I want one. So,
can I ask you a question, Greg?
Yeah.
One of the members is asking if you have any insight on how far we are in ending the Chinese-USA trade war. You have any insight on that?
We're nowhere near.
Oh,
absolutely
that's not good.
Near.
That's not good.
This is tit for tat, right?
Oh.
So this Waywatch company makes telephones and stuff, and a lot of communications devices, and they were buying their chips from America, and America banned the export. It says that Weiwa's a bad company, and you're not allowed to export them or the supporting software, which really cuts into the production at their end, because at least you get 25% of your phones need to find a new chip for them. I don't know if it's specifically a chip, but it's a microprocessor of some design used in telephones. So that's triggered him to then, like within 5 hours of that happening, we got the president of China at this rare earth factory.
Wow.
And so he's right there, Johnny on the spot. So now we go back into.
So by the way, it's pronounced Huawei.
Thank you, Huawei.
Yeah, W-A-H, Wa.
Right.
Huawei.
Huawei. That was like last Thursday, and then that was like, okay, so they did that, and then the Chinese just dialed it up. Like, here, China may be reaching for its rare earth gun. And look, this is a classic. So this other guy gets up, this other Chinese government official, and basically gets up and puts out a news release, says, "Don't say we didn't warn you." He's referencing rare earth.
Wow.
And then this is like Monday morning. We got the Chinese Vice Minister of Commerce, Wang Shuan, also repeated suggestions could restrict the export of exotic rare earths, minerals known as rare earths. Well, this guy, if you read between the lines in this story, and these are the links on the news release, and do your due diligence to pick up on this, but because it's a big story. These commodities trade roughly in China. I got some charts I'll show you in a bit, but this is a big story. Like I say, it's like the tail wagging the dog. And there's not a lot. You don't need a lot of these minerals, but they're essential for basically our North American lifestyle. They're in our phones, they're in our screens. Wind turbines making electricity, they need them. It's Tesla carbon, and it's just a big deal. And it affects not only the economy, but the defense of America. And in right away, like on June the 1st here, the Pentagon, to counter the China threats by funding U.S. rare earth mines. So we're going to, now we're talking about like defense spending going into mining. God, that's a wonderful sounding sentence. So we have a treaty here in Canada we formed like in 1941 that covers this. That if America is threatened for certain resources, specifically in a war, and this is a trade war. Don't get me wrong. It's just this is for all the money, and so we have a law that a treaty with the Americans and so do the Mexicans to support each other, with minerals resources in the time of war, and so. It's not like this is Montoro's first trip into this. Again, we're going to talk about P-Course and our Elliott Lake property. Elliott Lake, the ground that we have there was reserves left over from producing rare earth uranium mine that was run by Rio Tinto for decades. And so we have about 15 million pounds of uranium reserves at that site. But we have 3 times that value in rare earth. And the only place in Canada that rare earth has been mined is at our site in Elliott Lake. It was the sole source for decades and I'm going to try to pronounce it, yttrium. There's a yttrium and a yttrium. There's 17 of these, and I'm still like, wait, I'm still struggling with the pronunciations. So we have the Pentagon is getting money from Congress, and they're talking about defense spending. If you got the resource and they need it, like again, it's a big deal because the American Armed Forces uses these extensively in all their fancy equipment and for probably things that we don't know. Now, covering down, as we move down here, if you're interested, the Facebook page for those folks who are on Facebook, and I'll also, there's a link there, and there's a link to International Montoro's LinkedIn page that we've just opened up to give ourselves some more exposure in that regard. And now let's just quickly see. We're gonna visit now with the 3D inversion. This is something that to give your people, in the spirit of true and fair disclosure and transparency in the market. When we give you the news release, we're backing it up with here's the data. So I've got this is the merged EM with magnetics. And we can add different things. Oop, I'm having no firing up here. Well, we seem to be locked now. I don't know if I can. I think because your screen's there, I'm not allowed to move things around. It's unfortunate. Uh, so if I push this, I'm going to push this hide video thing here and see. No,
You don't want to. You don't
no,
want
I
to.
can't. I'm sorry. I was hoping to take you through the tour.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we can go through it. I think they're getting
I
the.
can't manipulate with your with this particular streaming program we're using. I
It's
can't
okay.
manipulate the
I
document.
the members are going through the. I've put the link of the press release in the chat, so the members are going through the press release. They're going through the website, so they're able to review and see it as well as you go along.
Yeah, this particular thing they can't.
Okay. Well, I'm sure that
So
we can.
I'm going to put. I've done a tutorial about this that
Great.
I managed to do a video screen save thing.
Great.
And I'm going to be posting that on, which it's 4 minutes long. I tried to chop it down as simple as possible.
Well, you can send that to me, Greg, and I can post it. It's not a
Okay,
problem.
I can do that.
Yeah.
And as the key item here is we've identified, and again, I can't manipulate this. We've identified two particular areas where the magnetic strength and the conductivity coalesce in one spot. One of them is about 700 meters long, and the other one's about 1.2 kilometers long. And we're losing this. Sorry, I'm trying to get this out of here. Bang. There we go. And then I go back to you. How do I get back to you?
We're here. I can see you.
All right.
Yeah.
So, and that just about ties it up. I mean, you want it, you want to have to be ahead of the herd. This is a very nice opportunity to acquire the shares for the speculative investor. There's nothing insured in these investments. We are an exploration company, and it comes with a variety of could haves and coulda, woulda, couldas, and then you do your best efforts. But there's going to be a lot of new rare earth companies come to the fold to take advantage of this geopolitical situation. We've been at it for 10 years. We've held this ground and reacquired this ground now here in Wicheeda, and with the increased activity with our neighbor, with the Chinese, with the possibility, and I think the possibility, from what I read and you'll read in those reports and the links that I put on the news release, is we're going to the Chinese have already taken the steps previous to Xi showing up at the battery plant, rare earth battery plant in China. They've stretched themselves into Burma. They've shut down illegal miners there. They have illegal miners in China. They've been working on questioning those guys for like better part of 4 years. The last time we heard from the Chinese, and this is going to be the kicker here, the last time we heard from the Chinese, and every 6 months, they do an update about the quotas and about the export, about what they're doing with the rare earths, how much they produce and how much they use, et cetera, et cetera. And the next update is about 4 days overdue. They were supposed to update in December of last year. They updated about mid-November. And they reiterated what they've been saying for years now, every 6 months, that at one point they're going to keep all their rare earth production for domestic use. Now, they got huge domestic use. The use of rare earths has escalated 27% year over year in China domestically, and that's primarily for the electric vehicle boom that they have going on there. I think their sales year to year are up 100%. They're going to town. I think they've reached the 5% penetration level. Again, I would think that the buses that they're producing, they produce like 420,000 of these BYD electric buses. And it just makes sense that they would be using rare earth magnet motors. And that's what the Chinese government hints at one of those news releases I gave you. And I don't know what I'm doing here now. I've lost you. Let's push the Zoom button.
No, we're here. I can see
Okay,
you.
I
You
don't.
haven't
I don't
lost
see
us.
myself.
Yeah, we can see you clearly. I have a question here about the tariffs in Mexico. Trump has put some tariffs on Mexico. Do you believe that the Mexican government will adhere to the tariffs placed by the Trump administration?
I mean, that's just a recent thing. Trump had posted on Twitter some drone footage of 1,200 people breaching the border. I believe in Texas. Just a huge, 1,200 people. It's a lot of people. I mean, how many buses and trucks do you have to move in to move those people up? And so he tweets this video that he got obviously from the Department of Home Defense or the Border Patrol, and then then he slammed the 5%, saying like these people they're not Mexican for the most part. They're coming from Honduras and Guatemala they're looking for a better life, and the only thing is like 5%. Duty is just a start, but he wants to escalate it up to 25%. Unless the Mexicans can secure the American border, that strikes me as it's not their job, but
That's weird.
They've had a lot of trouble with these migrants in Mexico itself, and the Mexican people are not happy about all these migrants coming into their towns and staging these forays across the American border. Yeah, I saw the Chipotle there. I've never been to one, but it's a big chain, a Mexican chain. That they're worried about their costs on avocado and salsa, and a lot of American produce is going to go up. It almost exclusively comes from Mexico now. Yeah, it's just another exciting time that we're living through. The Chinese have a saying, "May you live in interesting times." If a Chinese person says that to you, they're not wishing you well, Rich.
Yeah, I bet.
Okay? We're living in interesting times. That's what we got going on, and so that's about all I have today. It's a good time to get into the stock for the speculative investor. I've seen here yesterday a lot of the pot stocks that took a big hit with for the CBD FDA order yesterday.
Yeah, it seems as though the FDA did some research and they're finding that there are a lot of substandard CBDs being circulated, so they need to have more standardization. They need to have more testing. They need to have more rules in place so that people are not buying substandard CBD. Especially in America, it's not even it's not really being monitored. They're just selling them everywhere ever since hemp was approved. And I think that here in Canada, you're not going to see as much of that. Here in Canada, they are testing it. It's lab tested in a lot of places. We have some really good CBDs here. And
there's no question about it. Yeah, but we got the Canadian Health Protection Branch, and there's all kinds of protocols necessary to manufacture any food or pharmaceutical items. There's very, very high standards. And in fact,
the highest in the world. I mean, we here in Canada, the standards that we hold for our cannabis and for our CBDs are by far the best and the highest in the world. There's nobody even close.
I was in the health food business for decades, and all my customers would come like from Korea, Japan, China, Thailand, and the reason they would come is because they wanted Canadian products. Because globally, we know that we set the standard. That we really put a lot of effort into the quality of the products that we manufacture, and that spins off from the health food business into the pharmaceutical business into of course the CBD and cannabis business.
But what the problem is that everybody is looking for cheap product. So you want good product, but you don't want to spend the money. So what everybody does, or what a lot of companies do, is they go cheap and they get the cheap CBD, which realistically has no isolate in it. And if it doesn't have any isolate in it, then it's not going to have any health remedies. It's just a fake product it's like a knockoff. You're paying for a knockoff product because you don't want to spend the money, and now you're not going to get any real health benefits. And this is what's happening. And this is why the FDA is putting out that report, because it's real and it's true. And I know this because I'm in the CBD space. And when everyone looks at our pricing, they're like, oh, yeah, we can get it cheaper. I'm like, yeah, because you're buying garbage.
No question about it. It's by no way is it easy.
But people don't know the difference. So if you're a company and you're buying garbage and you're putting it on the shelf and it's blowing off the shelf, and you can pay 50% of the price of buying something quality, a lot of companies are going to just go down that route because they're thinking about making money, as opposed to thinking long-term about, delivering a good quality product to their consumers. This is what we're focused on here in Canada. Unfortunately, outside of Canada, it's like the Wild Wild West, right?
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, I know. Everybody wants you going in an industry that's just like happens overnight, and you got a saleable item. All you need is find some hemp, and you can make your concentrate. And it's probably what are you gonna do in the kitchen? Is it being done in your kitchen? Is it being done in the barn? Where exactly is all this happening? Where's the quality control? Where's the QC, etc.? You have to have a standard. There's a big job in setting up a facility in Canada to facilitate the manufacturing of any edible products.
Oh yeah,
and
it's huge.
It's safe. It's put there. The health protection branch are not my friends. We've had many a myth in the past, but they work hard to make sure that nobody ever gets sick. That's nobody dies. That's your 101. But getting back to the rare earth, the Montoro is now moving on 2 streams. We've got our P-course nickel anomaly. To touch on the nickel for a second there. There was an article in Reuters recently talking about how tight the market was for the nickel traders. Like the short, they were having a short squeeze on nickel. And in the same article, they discussed that the same thing had been happening for aluminum. The aluminum market's been the tightest it's been for about 3 months. And the next day after the article came out, aluminum prices shot up 35%. And now they're talking that same way for zinc. And any moment, and I think the zinc prices could shoot up pretty extensively shortly. But nickel and copper. Copper's a 10-day turnaround. Nickel's about 28-day turnaround. That's from the mine to the end user. And you have a situation there that, here's the situation that's building up. Codelco is the world's biggest copper producer, miner. They're owned by the Chilean government, and they're in kind of a bitter negotiations with their workers, the miners. Now, a situation like that could trigger a copper bounce like there's nobody's business. On the nickel side, here in Canada, Boise Bay, we produce a lot of nickel in Canada. The Boise Bay mine, very rich. Their workers are having an argument with Vale. So if any of these are small items, Codelco is a big item, but any sort of breakdown in the supply line in both copper and nickel right now would see a catapult in the prices. The warehouses have emptied out staggering amounts. Zinc from about 700,000 to 50,000 the last 5 years. That's tons. Copper, we're tight in copper, is like a 10-day turnaround. Last 5 years, the warehouse in London Metals Exchange where they store the nickel, it's gone from 420 to 160,000 tons. Of that 160,000 tons, there's 37,000 tons stored there. So there's just under 50,000 tons available to be purchased. In fact, if you got anybody, and one of your people listening here, you want to lend me $1.5 billion, because we could go and corner the nickel market right now for $1.5 billion. It's not a lot of money, but we could be the kings of nickel. That's all I got to tell you today. The Montoro is very well priced for an entry level right here. With the advent of the different things, the defense minerals, their drill program, and the results from their metallurgical study, You've got the American Mineral Securities Act, and you've got the Chinese trade war. And one of the things, too, I'd like to mention in the last segment from the Vice Chairman of Commerce there, Mr. Wang, he also said lithium. Now, that could be really tense if, rare earths are one thing, but if you stop shipping lithium too, and of course, China controls 90% of the rare earth market, just overall. But they're doing the end processing. There's very few countries that are involved in that sector. And then on the lithium side, again, I think they're about 80% too. So, it's up to the Chinese. Like I said, Xi went to the starting point of the Long March when communist China took over, and announcing that to the Chinese people that prepare for a long, drawn-out trade war. And we haven't heard anything from them of recent. Like we talked back since basically Sunday night, Monday morning our time. But we could see I can just flashback because if history repeats itself. Our stock, Montoro, when we had the same property, when the Chinese pulled the pin on the Japanese, that's just a small item compared to what will happen if they pull the pin on the Americans. Our stock traded like one day alone. I think we traded 45 million shares. We went from like 5 cents to 22 cents on the strength of this thing, because there's not very many companies out there that have projects to advance, and we have a significant project that we are advancing here. And our neighbor, of course, it's always nice that our neighbor is moving it a little bit faster than we are, and we can ride their coattails, but we've held this ground longer than they have. So we've been in this camp for some time. And thank you very much, and thank your viewers for taking the opportunity to hear my story today. It's been a pretty hectic weekend for us with all this Chinese trade war, rare earth trade war stuff, and getting this all together for you folks. Please visit the website. Please sign up to get our ongoing emails. So as soon as a news release goes out, you'll have it first. Like we put this news release out at about 4:30 in the morning, so that everybody can, depending where you are in the time zones, you can get it before the market opening. Unfortunately, here in BC, we get these news releases at 6:30, so we're sort of still waking up. And also, you'll find in the news release, please follow us on Facebook if you're a Facebook person. If you're on LinkedIn, please follow us on LinkedIn. We're putting all the up-to-date U.S., China, and rare earth trade war information as it comes in right away on those two social media sites, so you can follow the ongoing. It's a very exciting story. It's really the truth.
Yeah, we'll be watching the story closely. We're gonna keep having you on the show. It's just a matter of time until metals start to take off. We've seen cryptocurrency take off after a long time down. We've seen cannabis take off at the beginning of the year. Now they're starting to slow down. It's just a matter of time till metals takes off. And when it does, we'll be here. You guys
have never seen a metals market like we're going to have. Going back, because history tells us a lesson. What happened with nickel in 2008? Nickel was 360. And no one was paying attention. In fact, for the decade previous to 2008, there was hardly any money spent on resources, specifically, definitely not the base metals, the zincs, the aluminum, the copper, the nickel. They were orphaned. And what happened was, one day the London Metals Exchange didn't have any nickel in the warehouse. They'd sold it all. Well, where was it going to come from? The magic nickel fairy? Because there isn't one. It's guys like me. We're struggling. We're talking to investors, talking to people like you, working news releases, pushing our projects forward in a very tough market. And then all of a sudden, people wake up and say, geez, we should have invested in that. Well, we've done the same thing again. From 2008 till now, another 10 years, the resource sector has been orphaned. Everybody's jumping into quant deals. Everybody's jumping into the blockchain, Bitcoin, yada, yada. And we're approaching that 0 point again for nickel. And a 28-day turnaround. I said, like, serious one disaster, be it flood or a strike or earthquake or social unrest, and these prices on these metals are going to explode. And the stocks that are involved in them, they're going to go 10 times as high.
I can't wait.
This is coming. It just happened with aluminum, like I stated. People who weren't paying attention. The guys that trade in the LME now, they're pulling their hair out. They're short. They always play short. If you buy one call, they're putting in 10 puts, and they've been playing this game pretty steady Eddie, and winning every time. And now it doesn't look like they win. When a commodity moves up 35%, that's a short squeeze, and that hurts people at the LME if you're a trader.
Of course.
And
absolutely.
And if they get hurt once, maybe you got it. Maybe the zinc will take them down now, because zinc's at a someone said a 30-year low at the warehouse.
Wow.
I mean,
that's
and
incredible.
It's just like, where are we going to get the zinc from? This is who's looking? Where's their zinc? The zinc mines, and this is the other side of the equation. When you don't go and develop new resources and open up new mines that have rich ore, commercially valid rich ore, you wouldn't get the mine open if you didn't have the economics. But you don't just turn them on. And like in the case of rare earth, the Americans are it'll take them 10 years to catch up to where the Chinese are now. And the Chinese, FYI, just announced that they've developed a green technique, a much more efficient technique for extracting and concentrating the reeds using a thing called ethylene and carboloxic acid. I tried that one. I think I got the carboloxic acid right. Anyways, they got this process, and it's these technological breakthroughs are almost as important as resource discoveries. And another thing too is the grade. As these mines get older, the grade of the ore goes down. It rarely goes up. And in the case of copper, we're operating at about let's say 8-9 years ago. The average grade going to the mill in a mine was 1.1%. Now it's down to 0.8%, and that's not a sustainable situation in any which way you look at it. It's an opportunity. The timing is right. The trade war is only going to is exposing all these weaknesses. And there's going to be, you've never seen a market. Like I said, you think the pot market was exciting. The Bitcoin market was exciting. But when this resource market goes off, it's been a 10-year hiatus. The longest bear market we've had in the resource sector was 7 years. And now we're at 10 years. So, it's when it turns, it's going to make a lot of people money. After the crash between 2008 and 2010, this is when we had the big burn on the resource sector. All these guys that were working downtown here, they retired, bought islands, you name it. It's like, they had nickel stocks that were 2 or 3 cents, so went to $4 or $5.
Wow.
It's like when nickel went from $3.60 to $22 and stayed there for better part of 9 months. And of course, and everybody rushed out there to find the resources, reopen mines, et cetera, et cetera. But this is the time to get in now, ahead of the storm.
I agree. 100%.
Okay, I think I've chatted with you folks about as much as you probably can handle.
Well, thank you once again, Greg. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on and bringing us the news and breaking it down. Let's do it again soon. We wish you all the best of luck with International Montoro Resources. We know you guys are doing the right things.
Sign up on our webpage. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on LinkedIn. Keep in on this story, because the story is exciting and it's breaking news. We haven't had any news today, but the Chinese pulled the pin on the rare earth, and especially the lithium. It's going to be the Chinese and the Americans are supposed to meet. I think it's in Osaka here at the end of the month, and they are nowhere near at all of agreeing on a trade deal. That's the recent news. Again, great. Thanks a lot, folks. And you guys all have a good day. Safe trading.
Thank you, Greg. As always, you are a wealth of information, and you are a scholar, my friend. Keep up all the great work. Let's do this again soon. And good luck with all your hard work and efforts on International Montoro Resources. hopefully you guys continue to move forward towards production, and we can pull these rare earth metals out of the ground, and we can all get rich.
That would be nice.
All right, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much.
Cheers.
Bye.